Hi, Denny again, and this is the continuation of the healing sequence. This is number 5. Number 4 was a great deal about how to begin to use imagery for the process of restoring the spiritual body's connection to the physical body. This will be a continuation of that study. Now, for those of you who have not seen this before or would like to learn about the other ones, you can find them on the Rayid channel or the Rayid, R-A-Y-I-D, Facebook group. You'll find there whatever you would like to pursue. Now, this is about how the dynamics of the family tree can affect the flow of life force circulating in and out of the spiritual body. The spiritual body feeds the physical body. Now, when there is some family tree issue, and this happens to be the mother's side of the family. I'm not showing the father's side in this diagram. This is yourself, your mother, her parents, your great-grandparents. These different grandparents, they make up dynamics of life force moving through the body. These three, what we call 6, 4, and 2, this is mother's, father's, mother, number 6, mother's, mother's, mother, number 4, mother's, mother's, number 2. These make up what's called the descending life force in the body. This descending life force, literally moving in from above, flowing through the body, it's linking the spiritual body into the physical. Its primary influence is upon the glands. We can discuss that more deeply another time. I believe that the sacred sequence number 2, the healing sequence 2 and 3, describe more of that. So you might go back into that part. So 6, 4, and 2 are part of what we call the Descending Yin. Now, the spiritual body is where the mind resides. It communicates its impulses through the glands and the brain. I know that's an unusual concept. Science and most psychologists would not say that the mind does not exist inside the body. But even if you leave this world, you take your mind with you quite clearly. So the experience of how the spiritual body is composed of mental principles, including belief systems and reactions and fears. The mental body has a lot of unresolved imagery. Much of that imagery, held within the memory, is delivered to us through the epigenetic influence of the family tree, which means a great-grandmother's personal attitudes, belief systems, and reactions, her own difficulty or suffering or pain, is transferred to us. When there are cases where these lines are broken, because for some reason or another they're broken by reaction, pain, hatred, violence in the family tree or another, these influences are quite profound. So how do we begin to restore them? Now remember, you can learn how to restore this one line, and there are 4 lines. This is just the first one. This is the Descending Yin. Now you can learn how to restore this, but remember, restoring this doesn't mean it's a healing. You can change the symptoms, yes. It can even look or feel like a healing by restoring this line. You can reduce pain, you can reduce agitation, you can reduce the symptoms of diseases so successfully that the disease itself can even vanish. But this does not mean necessarily that you have addressed the primary reason for which the underlying cause of the disease was manifested. That's another discussion. Right now, this is how to help yourself or someone else, how to be able to begin to change the effects of a disease on the body. So how do you do this? This is about how to be able to use the knowledge of the family tree and the understanding of the dynamics of the mind to be able to use imagination and imagery to be able to reconstruct this flow through the body. So this is going to have a sequence of key words that you can work with along the way to remember that there is a field of information. Part of this information has to do with a gland. So each one of these is going to be involved in one particular location in the body, focused on one specific gland. You can focus on a general area of the body and that will work. Sometimes focusing right into a particular gland has the greatest impact to bring the spiritual body into the physical body. In the situation number 6, mother's father's mother, that's going to be the gland of the pineal. Each one of these other locations, number 4, something about the heart. Yes, the heart's an organ. You can use the pericardium, which is some form of a gland. The thymus, which is a gland. The spleen, you can also use that, and that part of the body. And then down in the belly, you have a series of choices, because this is a personal choice you can make. You can use the reproductive tract, the pelvic cavity itself. You can use the kidney, you can use the bladder, or you can just use the general realm right below the navel. So 3 primary locations in the body. The head for number 6, the chest for number 4, the belly for number 2. Now, we've discussed this before, so we don't need to be that detailed with it. Each one of these has a corresponding grandmother. So people say, why is it important to access a grandmother? Because one of the primary reasons that this is broken is the unresolved feeling in this great-grandmother or grandmother. Unresolved feelings are transmitted as little tags on the gene code to signal a reason to trigger that part of the gene code to produce a susceptibility to a disease. So these great-grandmothers and grandmothers, they are very important to be able to recognize that they're engaged in the process. The other thing that's important about it is by being able to focus on a person, a true biological great-grandmother, you're actually engaging a more tactile part of your own imagination to create a sense of touch. Now, this great-grandmother is literally in the entire part of your body, and every other cell, it's inlaid in your gene code. So the grandmother is an important physical experience. Now there's also a series of diameters that move through here. That is, the gland can be quite small. Then we're talking about an organ or a grandmother inside the gland. So that helps. The tighter the focus, the better. So oftentimes I suggest you enter into, in your imagination, the gland. No, this doesn't require any particular form of faith. It doesn't even require that you need to be very good at the imagination. So just do your best, imagine this process, go through the grandmother, then identify as best you can in your memory what the organ is. In this case, these happen to be the organs involved in elimination. There's the skin, the bowels, the kidney. This is the elimination cycle. This is the sequence of letting go of things. Now this purification of the body is not just a detoxing of the body physically, it's a detoxing of the body emotionally. So it's important when you're involved in the experience of a grandmother that you give yourself the opportunity to feel what the feelings are. Which means you can go in the imagination, go to your grandmother, imagine a beautiful woman, approximately the age of 25. Now you can engage in what you wish to engage in. You can hug her, you can put your head in her lap, you can say thank you for being my grandmother, I never got a chance to meet you, and you do your best to feel this grandmother. Now you can feel your feelings for her because this is you increasing to love a particular part of your family and a particular part of you. Now you can also go there and feel the grandmother, meaning that you can actually begin to feel her own own pain and suffering of the life she had. Now, why would you want to experience the pain and suffering of your great-grandmother, a great-grandmother that you never knew? Well, because part of that suffering has been given to you on a genetic tag that now becomes the means by which you trigger your own pain and suffering and disease. So by being able to feel her, you can actually begin to clean it by your own sense of love for her, your compassion, and you open this up. Now, most people have a tendency to do things to avoid the pain. You can do that. Most time when we avoid a pain, it's called a habit or an addiction or a facade. But you can stay right there in the pain, feel it, and keep feeling it. If tears come up, then the tears come up. It's good for you to be able to feel why and how they arrive to you. Very important thing. If you allow yourself to feel, and you feel sadness or tears, stay in it. Now you have the option to ask. You have the option to ask your higher level, your divine, your creator, whatever, show me all of the unresolved feelings here. You may even ask for divine love to enter this part of you. That's your choice. Or you can use the imagery, which is a function of the mind, to be able to change the dynamics in this place. So each one of these is going to have a particular location, gland, grandparent, and body system. On the number 4, it's the bowels. Down here on the number 2, it's the kidneys. You can use the bladder or the reproductive tract. Now, if you can understand how it goes from organ to gland to person, now it's going to get farther away because we'll link it into an experience of nature. This experience of nature now utilizes your own sensitivity and those things available in the circulation that we have with nature to correspond with this part of the family. By that I mean the pineal, the skin, it's related in nature to the experience of snow. The heart relates to the venous supply back to the heart, represents the experience of the ocean. The ocean that refuses no river. It's also non-judgment on an emotional level, or letting things go. It's transformation. Down below, the experience of another form of water, snow, ocean, lake. Now, each one of these 3 nature symbols is also extended even farther by what's called a universal feeling that corresponds to this symbol in nature. For example, snow, well, you can have purity. One of my favorites is silence. Used to live in the high mountains for many years. When the snow falls, silence. Wonderful feeling. The ocean, grace of the heart. You may not know what that feels like, so consider forgiveness or letting go. Many other ones you might consider there as well. Last one, the lake. The feeling here is peace. I like to use the lake that's never had a ripple. So silence in the head, grace in the heart, peace in the belly. Now this is a practice. By being able to engage your feelings, engage your imagination, stay focused inside your body, in the gland. Feel your body, feel the organ, feel the skin. Do your best to develop a sensitivity. There are many ways to be able to practice this. I like music. Music is a wonderful way to enhance it. There's also fragrances or movement. There's lots of ways to be able to open up the capacity to feel. But remember, it's about going inside. Let me just give you the idea of something. I'm going to close this off for a moment. just erase this, give you a feeling of something. What if it would be like this? This might be, I'm focused on, this is my pineal. This is the mother's father's mother. This is the skin, this is the experience of silence or purity, this is snow falling. I might just imagine myself going inside this place in me. Now I begin to take my time and experience the different attributes. I might focus on the snow, the feeling of the snow touching my skin, or thousands of tiny little kisses falling out of the sky onto my skin. I might just hold my grandmother, whisper the words, thank you, I love you, thank you for being my grandmother. Whatever part that you feel works for you. Stay there as long as you like. By being able to create the sensitivity that you are in touch with this grandmother, this actually begins to reconnect the flow coming into the physical body from the spiritual body. Just this much will transform many symptoms into easier ways of living, can even reverse the processes of disease and suffering. So, it doesn't cost anything, there's nothing to do. Keep it along with your other tools or chemicals or herbs or allopathic treatments. Just give you a chance to use your own imagination and your feeling to restore something very important. So, this is healing sequence number 5. We'll come back and we'll do the next line next time. Join us then.